Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to day 13 of the 31 Days of Horror. Yes, that's right. Getting right into it today. It's crazy that it's already day 13 already. It's insane, actually, to think about that. How time flies by when you're having fun and watching some horror movies. Hell yeah. But anyways, the film I got for you guys today is a Italian slash U.S. co-production from 1959. This one actually has a very interesting history because it's a film that I always wanted to check out, and it goes by the title of Caltiki the Immortal Monster. Yes. Now, as the Arrow Blu-ray states, a film by Riccardo Freda and Mario Bava. Yes, they actually both had a hand in directing this movie. What ended up happening with Riccardo Freda, the same thing happened with the film that they collaborated previously, I Vampires. Riccardo Freda stepped back from the project and gave Mario Bava a chance to direct the movie. Pretty much, he was like a cinematographer at the time, and Riccardo Freda saw in Bava's eye that he would be a great director, so he gave Bava that boost to direct, and this is the second feature that they worked on together. I know Mario Bava actually directed a lot of the special effects scenes of this movie, which I'll get into in my final thoughts of the film. Pretty much the gist of Caltiki is starts up with this group of archaeologists that are studying this Mayan ruins, and they're pretty much trying to figure out the history of the Mayan culture and what happened to the Mayans. As we all know, the Mayans were a great ancient civilization that disappeared out of nowhere. Now, something happens where a few members of their group end up disappearing, and one guy comes back, and he's kind of very sickly, and he keeps yelling, "Caltiki, Caltiki." So they end up going to investigate, and what they end up finding out is there's this amoeba blob creature that's living inside the Mayan temple. It ends up killing one guy, and another guy, the other main character of this film, the other male lead, Max, ends up getting injured, and gets his hand discarded from this thing, and they end up taking a chunk of the creature with them, and they end up destroying the creature inside the temple with this giant extravagant gas tank explosion scene. And then what ends up happening is they end up going back to Mexico City to study the remains that they do have of this creature, and that's where the film progresses, is an investigation of what this thing is and what it can do, and the horror that could happen in the rest of the movie. That's pretty much the gist of the plot without going too crazy into it. Now, my thoughts on it. This actually fucking blew my mind when I was watching this. This film has a very Lovecraft base, of course. You could tell that with the way Caltiki is. It's pretty much a god that's the fear of the monster, the fear of the man, the usual Lovecraftian story, and just a creature that you can't really describe where it came from, pretty much, and it was just there, and it was really cool how they also linked this movie to what happened to the Mayans, and this is an answer what happened to them. They were fucking killed by this giant blob-like creature that came thousands of years ago and got bigger because of radiation from a meteorite that passed by Earth. And it's really interesting, the story of that. Really good shit. And this is a film that never had a release until recently. When Arrow Video actually did put it out, it has a heavily bootlegged film. And I gotta say, the fucking transfer on this looks fantastic. The black and white is crisp. The cinematography is great. You could tell a lot of this was shot by Bava, by the way that it was shot, and just the atmosphere. There's some great atmosphere in this film that you don't really get with a fucking cheesy blob monster movie. You know what I mean? It was actually very engaging, and the characters are interesting too. There was a lot of interesting character engagements that you don't really get to see in something like this too, because they're usually like campy B movies, and the acting was really well done. Yeah, the sets were fucking great too. Like the whole temple scene was fucking fantastic. Now the special effects, let me get into that. Uh, they were fucking great. This is probably some of the best like blob like work that I ever seen. Better than the original Blob. Let's just put it that way. I know that the creatures are actually made out of tripe, which, yeah, that's crazy. You know, Bava did it. He's a master, and you could tell that with the shit that he does in this film, because the slow creeping of the ooze of this creature, like walking up the stair, like, well, not walking, you know what I mean, like oozing up the stairs, and it's just so slow terror, and it's fucking great. Uh, I will note, if you do want to pick this up, it comes with like the English and Italian audio. One thing on the English audio, for if you think it might be a little bit jarring when you first listen to it, pretty much what ends up happening is they didn't actually, the original like English audio track was lost, so what they did was take it from various places and put it to the best of the ability. And you can hear like some in and out frequencies. It's not too frequent though. It's still listenable in my opinion. If you're into like the English dub stuff, which I don't mind that stuff with like Italian films because they're mostly dubbed anyways. But yeah, so if you are listening to this, it might drop in quality in certain places, and it is a little bit noticeable, but it's really is still listenable too. And then of course you have the Italian track also. Great special features on this, man. Like there's one on like from with Kim Newman that talks about like how like a lot of films influence this film, like the Quatermass Experiment. I almost fucked it up again, which I actually just reviewed a couple of days ago, which is kind of cool. And that kind of was cool that I watched that and didn't watch this. And a lot of documentaries on Baba and Freda also, who's a master in his own right because he gave us Baba, But overall, if I had to rate Caltiki the Immortal Monster, I'm giving it a solid 8.5 out of 10. I fucking love this movie, man. It was fucking awesome. So yeah, check it out. It's fucking awesome, guys. If you like your Lovecraftian horror, like blob-like creatures, this one's fucking awesome. So check it out. 8.5 out of 10 for Caltiki the Immortal Monster. All right, guys, that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow with another one.